Oh, yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for having me here. My name is Chad Alvey. I own Crossfit Riverport right down the street. If you drive down Greenbelt there and you see that big, huge CrossFit sign in the window, that's my place. It used to be Shooters. We've been there for about 2 years now. I wanted to show this picture. Before I owned a gym, I used to build computer databases. And we started a Biggest Loser challenge at my work. That was a picture of me right before we started the Biggest Loser challenge. The other picture is me from last weekend. So kind of wanted to share a little bit of my story, a little bit of what changed, how I got to where I am today, and share a little bit about why fitness and health should be important in our lives, and why I changed from making a whole lot of money to changing lives. So I was a Marine for 8 years, great shape, always in fitness before then, and got out of the Marines, got married, got comfortable, really enjoyed what I was doing work-wise at first. I was chasing the American dream, making money, and collecting things, thinking that that was what was going to make me happy. Found out a little further down the road that money wasn't what was going to make me happy. The more money you make, the more money you spend. So started searching, gained weight along the way, and just come to find myself unhappy with the way I was, unhappy with the way I felt, unhappy with the way I looked, and just unhappy all around. Couldn't figure out what was going on. I had a beautiful, healthy wife, healthy kids, and I was the only one overweight in the family. I got up to about, in this picture, I had already started losing weight. I got up to about 300 pounds at one time. That was about 5 years ago. And in that picture, I had already ran my first marathon. In that picture, I ran my first marathon at 275 pounds. What started a change was I grew up with a very active father. A father who spent a lot of time with me hiking, fishing, playing sports. And I have a son that was about 5 years old at that time. I got to wrestling around with him on the floor, and about 5 minutes into wrestling, I was winded. I could barely breathe, and I had to quit wrestling with my son. At that point, I realized that I was cheating my son out of a good father, out of the father that I had and that I enjoyed. And that started my change in thinking. At that point, I saw a video by a guy named Dick Hoyt. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but he's an Ironman athlete who runs the Ironmans with his paraplegic son. He swims with him, he puts him on a bike and rides with him, and he pushes him in a stroller. That image changed my way of thinking. And I decided I was going to run an Ironman. About a year later, I ran my first marathon. And then right after that, our Biggest Loser challenge started at work. I got really involved with the Biggest Loser challenge. It hit me right at the right time. So they gave us opportunities for all these types of seminars with guest speakers coming in. We had boot camps available, we had personal trainers available. They would bring dietitians in, and I attended everything that I possibly could. At first, I did it for the health initiative so that I could get my discount on my insurance. It had little to do with my actual fitness, but then it became a passion. Whenever I started applying the things I was learning, my body started changing. I started sleeping better, I started waking up better, I started feeling better. People started noticing a change in my physique, and it felt better. It felt better to be healthy and to live a healthier life and have something besides just this American dream that I was living for. So after about 2 years of that, I started getting stagnant. I was running every day and still could only get down to about 250 pounds and couldn't figure out what was going on there. So what I did at that point was I started researching. I started taking college courses. I started reading everything that I could on fitness. What creates fitness? How do our metabolisms work? How do muscles work? How can you run for 4 hours a day and still not lose weight? And I found really the secret was muscle. I wasn't building muscle. I was doing cardio. Cardio was great for getting your lungs going. It was great for building a healthy heart. But nothing else was improving. I would go to the doctor and I had a resting heart rate of like 50 beats per minute, which was really good for a guy that weighed 250 pounds. And I couldn't figure it out. So everything that I was researching and finding, it really showed me that I had to start building muscle. And then I found CrossFit. CrossFit completely changed everything. CrossFit is where we do high intensity functional movement, and we do it for very short periods of time. So anything that we do, if you were to walk in my gym, you won't see any machines. You won't see anything but a whole bunch of pull-up bars and a whole bunch of weights. You'll see big Atlas stones that we pick up. You'll see fire hoses that we run around with. You'll see tires that we flip. These are all functional movements that we can use outside of that. And that created a better fitness regimen. It started building muscle. Muscle burns fat. So it's more than just running. You've actually got to build muscle to start burning fat. So at what point did I decide that I wanted to leave a very, very good job that I spent a lot of time building? I spent 15 years climbing the corporate ladder. I always thought six-figure income. I'll be happy if I make a six-figure income. Well, I passed a six-figure income, and I still wasn't happy. So I started reevaluating what I wanted to do. And once I got into CrossFit and it started changing my physique, it started changing my attitude, I was no longer depressed. I started to become a lot better person to be around, became a better husband, a better father. The coach there took notice. He was 30 miles away from my house, and I was letting him know that this is killing me. I love doing it every day, but I can't drive 30 miles out of the way every day. So he said, well, you're doing really well. Why don't you see what you've got out at your end of town? And if nothing, start it. So the guy mentored me into starting a boot camp in my backyard. I applied all the stuff I learned in CrossFit, all the stuff I learned in our Biggest Loser stuff at my corporation, and created a 12-week boot camp. I got on Facebook and invited all my friends. Just said, we're going to throw in, everybody throws in $50 for 12 weeks. We'll be able to get some equipment. I built a pull-up rig in my backyard. I got some kettlebells. So we'll all work out together and see what we can do. I hoped maybe I'd get 5 or 10. Well, for 12 weeks at 6 a.m. in the morning for 3 days a week, 30 people showed up in my backyard. It was overwhelming. I didn't expect 30 people to show up in my backyard at 6 a.m. and neither did any of my neighbors. And they were not really pleased with it. So we had to get really structured. I had to have people park, make sure they weren't parking in front of people's driveways, and it really grew really quick. And I figured if I can get 30 people in my backyard, why don't I get a facility and start a gym and see where we can go from there. Well, through a lot of prayer and a lot of support from my friends, I decided to open up my own gym. I was able to work remotely since I built computer databases. I could do it anywhere. So for about 4 or 5 months while my gym was starting, I was working remotely. And then it was time for our evaluations at work. And I walked in and they asked me if I could start coming into the office more. They said, your work is fine, you're doing fine, but we want you to come to the office more. And I was changing lives on a daily basis now. I had people coming to me, telling me that they're feeling better, that their families are noticing, that their children are starting to eat better, that their wives are starting to make better choices. And that, to me, was something that couldn't be replaced by any money that I was making. So at that point, I had to make a decision. Am I ready to change people's lives for a living and go on the direction that I think that the Lord was moving me? Or do I continue chasing money for the rest of my life? And it's obvious the choice that I'm making. Today, my gym is 2 years old. We've been doing, I have over 100 athletes. I do all of the sports conditioning for most of Holy Cross's teams. We're growing daily. We've got people in there that have lost 60 pounds in the past year. I've got people that have taken a minute off of their marathon per mile pace. I've got people that have gone off diabetes medication. I've got people that have just completely changed their lives because of this direction that the Lord moved me. And it's something that is irreplaceable. And it all started really with the Biggest Loser challenge at my work. That's really what got me all moving in that right direction. So there's a little bit about me and where I'm from and kind of what I've done. But even on top of this, for 2 years, there's still something that has to motivate me every day. I have to get up at 4:30 every day, and I'm there until 7 o'clock every night. So there has to be something other than that that motivates me. And when I first started, there was a good mentor that showed me a chart that kind of drew something out for me, that laid it all out for me. And it made a lot of sense. And I like it to share it with people, and it's something that I would like to share with you guys. What it's called is the Sickness, Wellness, Fitness, Continue. So, if we're driving down the street on a daily basis, if we look at our neighbors, if we stand back and watch ourselves on a daily basis, and we look at the choices that we make in what we eat, the choices we make in any type of physical activity that we do, and we take 50 random people and do that, and try to figure out where they are going to fall on this scale at. Are they living in sickness, wellness, or fitness? Well, scientific studies have shown that 95% of America lives right here. They are not laying in bed sick. They can walk to the refrigerator. They can make it to work. They can make it to home. They can fend for themselves. So they're fine. They're fine living there. You can see McDonald's parking lot is full constantly. Taco Bell is always backed up to Dixie Highway. That is not fuel for your body. That is fuel for your psyche. We are feeding our psyche when we eat that stuff. We're not feeding our body when we eat that stuff. We have a very unhealthy relationship with food here in America. Food is fuel, but we use it as a medication. So, if we're living here just below well, but above sick, it's a perfectly good way to function in a sedentary lifestyle. But it's a really poor way to live and live fully. The problem with living here is if we get a cold, a regular cold or the flu, we get knocked down really easy to sickness. Our bodies should be built up enough to be able to withstand a cold. Since I've made health and wellness and fitness a priority in my life, in the past 2 years, I've had 2 colds. Both of them have lasted me less than 12 hours, and I worked out in the middle of both of them. That puts me above the average person, where the average person lives. I try to live right here, so that if I get a cold, It knocks me down to where I'm still functional. It knocks me down to where I am not dependent on someone else. If you're dependent on someone else for anything, for any of your basic needs, you're sick. It's just the basic level and basic definition of sickness. You have to depend on someone else for a basic need. The problem with living here, and I break a bone. Let's say I break a leg. If I break a leg and I'm living here, walk in Kroger right now. See how many people are on one of them hover rounds going around Kroger that do not have a self-inflicted disease. Obesity, 85% of the time, is a self-inflicted disease. These people have inflicted obesity on themselves. It's not something that was medically created. It was created by a lack of self-control. So if someone like that breaks a leg, they have to depend on someone else. If one of us who is barely getting around on a daily basis on 2 feet break a leg, we have to depend on someone else to help us with several of our basic functions. So breaking a leg is putting us down in sickness. We do something in CrossFit called pistols. A pistol is a one-legged squat. Friday, we did 160 pistols. I know that I can do 160 squats on one leg. I can hobble my butt to the fridge with a broken leg. I can hop my butt to the gym and work. I can hop to the refrigerator. I know that I can function on one leg because I train to function on one leg. If you haven't trained to be above where you're currently comfortable, you're not going to be able to function when you have to be put out of that comfortable situation. So if we're living in fitness, a basic broken bone is only going to put you back to where most of America already lives. This is the part that I think really affects me the most. What happens here if I get cancer? What happens here if I get in a car wreck and my body gets broken and torn apart? My body is barely functioning already. My heart is struggling because of the fat that's around it. My lungs are struggling because of the tar that I've put in them. My blood has problems going through my system because of all the cholesterol that I've put in there. If your body has to fight off a disease after it's already fighting itself constantly, you're past sickness. You're going to be lucky to pull out of that. What happens to me if I'm living here and I get cancer? If I get in a car wreck, if I get anything that happens catastrophic? I'm not Superman. I don't care what I do. What God has deemed for me is going to happen to me. The difference is, by putting health and fitness at a higher level, at putting health and fitness as a priority in my life, I feed my body for fuel. My body has elevated. It lives at a higher level. I'm not fighting myself. My veins are clear. My lungs are clear. My brain functions well. My heart is extremely healthy. I'm giving myself a better chance at survival in the event of a catastrophic event. If my body isn't fighting with itself, then it has all of its facilities to work on anything catastrophic that happens to it. So the best thing that I can do for my wife, who loves me and trusts me and depends on me to protect her and provide for her, is to live right there. The best thing that I can do for my kids to look at me and they do think I'm Superman is to live right there. A lot of people look at time at the gym or time on themselves as a selfish thing. You can ask my wife today, the best decision I ever made was to make my body a priority. It made me a better husband, it made me a better father, and it made me just a better all-around person. My time for 1 hour a day that I get to spend working on health and fitness improves her life and improves the life of my children. I've always said that I actually have this drawn on my mirror in my bathroom, and it stays on my mirror in my bathroom. And it reminds me every day why I get up at 4:30 and why I help people change their lives. One of my favorite things that I like to say, and I'll kind of close with this, and then we can go into some questions, is I don't want to die when I'm 65 years old sitting in a nursing home. I want to die when I'm 95 years old walking down the Appalachian Trail. And I make my daily choices with that in mind. I go into everything with a game plan, and I carry out that game plan. Every time I'm going to go eat, I think about what I'm going to eat. Because if I don't, I'm going to walk out of there feeling guilty because I'm a crackhead when food is around. By nature, I don't control myself. So I have to go in with a game plan to control myself. Anytime I go into the gym, I'm going in with a game plan. What am I going to do? If not, I'm going to walk out feeling guilty and never have really accomplished anything. So everything in life, we need to treat like a mission, and we need to go at it with a game plan. You need to live with purpose, because if not, you're living a purposeless life. I floated in a purposeless life for so long, and now I'm so happy to be able to share what I do and share the changes that it's made in my life. Thanks for listening to me.